we used to have a library in those days, and my father used to take us to the town, so we used to go and exchange the books. And me and my brother used to wait for three comics. One is obviously it was called an Indian one called Tinkle. The other one was He-Man and Masters of the Universe, and the third one we came across was Horrid Henry. I do know Horrid Henry in Hindi. I'll be very honest with you, it's been so long away from the country. As a student, we learned three different languages: English, Hindi, Marathi. Marathi is my mother tongue. Hindi was and is still considered as the national language of India, so all the states will understand each other what's going on. Oh, Henry. Baskaro is like, stop it, it's enough. It's that way. Not nothing to do with Horrid Henry, but it's like, stop it, it's enough now. But I didn't realize that I was like Horrid Henry until the Great British Menu came. And the more I thought about it, I was like, as a child, I've been an absolutely troublesome person. And in the school, we Horrid Henry's Perfect Day. I think that's the first story which I read. It's the first book, if I'm not wrong, as well. This is perfect. I mean, perfect. Horrid Henry's Perfect Day is a perfect way for putting this pudding together, because I can play a lot when it comes down to something that is savory, but then you can include all those elements. You learn a lot about yourself, mostly. You learn a lot about discipline, and you learn your abilities to withstand pressure, because in my first series of Great British Menu, when I got 10 out of 10 in the pudding, I had 13 different elements going on. And even Tom Atkins said that you must be crazy doing this thing, but it worked. And then in the second series with this one, it was more about how will I create that spaghetti texture using vanilla, cream, and sugar. That was the challenging bit. I knew that it can be done, but how will I create the same texture, and whether all these sweet elements, which is a chocolate buttercream with hazelnut, the chocolate sponge, that is for the fudge cake, the blackberry sorbet, which is again sweet and sour, the strawberry coulis, which is also on a sweeter side. How will I balance the sugar content in there so that it's not sickly sweet? In general, when it comes down to preparing a dish of any sort, whether it's a starter or an amuse-bouche, main course, pudding, there's a lot of science you have to take into play. And it's the senses, the 5 main senses. Flavor is always the king. Then comes the seasonality of what we have during the seasons. Then we believe in textures, because if it's just too soft, it's not great. You need to have some sort of crunch or a bite. And then obviously the temperature plays an important part. If it's hot, cold, cold, hot, mild, lukewarm. And then finally is the presentation. Presentation is also very, very important, because as they say, you eat with your eyes first when you see what you're going to have. But there is a lot of different elements involved in creating a dish, and not necessarily when you create a dish you will get it right at the first time. You got to do it once, twice. You have to sit down and you have to eat the entire dish before you can sort of give a go ahead. Okay, guys, it's working. Let's start working onto the final processes, which is the right recipes, etc., etc. So there's a lot of science involved. As a human beings and as a personality, what would you like to eat is what you always ask the question. And it's a game of memory, because as a child, when you're eating food everywhere, wherever you've been to the restaurants or to a different country or a different state, and you've eaten speciality there, it's all about bringing those memories back, and that's what creates a dish. Marvelous. The more you do, the more creative you'll be. See, as a chef, it's very hard to say what's the yuckiest thing ever eaten. Uh, I would say offals. Hate them. Brain and kidneys and stuff like that. Even though I love duck liver, I first thought I at first thought that sea urchins will be bad, but they are actually quite delicious to eat. People do ask me this question a lot when, especially right now, I've noticed it. Oh, can you please share the recipe? Oh, please, can you share the recipe? And as a chef, because I've been in this profession for such a long period of time, I understand what's the final product that I'm looking for. So when I start cooking, there is no recipe, absolutely nothing. It's purely on instincts that this is going to turn out the best it will be, and it will have the flavors and everything. And if it doesn't, I know the way to rectify it. So when I start cooking, there are no measurements. You just go, put your pan on, make sure the pan is nice and hot. I've always said hot pan is a happy pan. Pour your oil or your medium of fat the way you want to cook. And then while the oil is heating, I'm chopping the onions. They are sweating. I'm doing something else. So this is how I work. And within an hour, the meal is ready for 4. But that is purely due to experience. When it comes down to kitchens, it is always the team. And I've always believed in that. It's like playing cricket. My favorite sport. In cricket, 11 of you are trying to defend or score, and everybody has got their weakness and strengths. It's exactly the same in the kitchen. And I have always believed when Michelin stars or A roses or any accolades that you get as a chef, it's just not you. It's the team who has contributed in achieving a certain goal. And I go even further that when I say, kitchen's done the job, but then there is the front of the house, the waiters, the receptionist, the reservation manager, maintenance team. They all have contributed in one way or other to bring the guests to us and, the diners who appreciate. So, yeah.
Henry. Go on, flick it.
Oi, no flicking bogies. Detention, Henry.
Hi, my name is Pauline John, otherwise known as Precious Pauline. Now, I've been asked by Horrid Henry to make some flapjacks for him.
Cool.
However, Horrid Henry would like me to make his favourite, which are bogey and chocolate chip.
Yeah!
So I'm going to make bogey and chocolate chip flapjacks for you today.
It's going to be great!
This is 250 grams of oats. And as you can see, I've made a mess, so it's okay. 125 grams of sugar. That should do the trick. 125 on the dot. So chocolate chips going in now. There we go, that's enough.
Let's be gross.
We mustn't forget the bogies. Those dried bogies help with the flavour. Just for Horrid Henry.
Yeah, that's a booger bogey.
You've got to grease the tray, the pan, the container, whatever you're going to cook the flapjacks in. You've got to use some of the butter and grease it to stop the flapjacks sticking when you put it in the oven. I probably put a little bit too much butter, but it'll just add to the flavour.
Excellent!
So what we're going to do now is we're going to put all the ingredients into a dish. And spread it out. Say it's actually looking really good, this bogey, really dry bogies and chocolate chip.
They're delicious! Eat up, everyone! This is real food!
I love to use cooking, gardening and art as a springboard to help young people talk and express themselves.
It's not easy being me. Wash your face and brush your hair. Well, nag, 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 it's just not fair. I'm Horrid Henry. So down with school, I'm gonna rule. And when I'm king, I'll do my thing. And then my life will be so sweet. I'm Horrid Henry. Na na na, na na nay. The purple hand gang rules okay. It's not easy being me. I'm Horrid Henry. Na na na, it's not fair. Na na nay, I wasn't there. Why do I get blamed for everything? 'Cause I'm Horrid Henry. No, it's not easy being me.
Tidy up! Just look at your hair!
Nag, 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 it's so not fair. I'm Horrid Henry.